Welcome to the Consistency Theory Podcast, a podcast about how taking one step out of the place you feel most comfortable can catapult you to places you did not even know you could get to. We are all living in an information abundant era, so it can be hard to know what to pursue for the better. High school, travelling, uni, apprenticeships, working offers so many different opportunities. How can you possibly know exactly what is for you? We discuss ideas with those who have first-hand experience of doing just that, so you can get first-hand perspective of how you can implement their secrets to your own life. Today we chat with Cal of CB Social. Cal was a young dad running a social media marketing business for the first time with his partner, Beth. We talk about how he found setting up his own online business as well as juggling being a dad. On top of this, Cal was also buying a house for the first time. We also discuss how young people can get onto the property ladder and important lessons for doing so. And also, Cal talks through an example of how a university student can start their own marketing business in just a few steps. Finally, if you enjoyed anything in this podcast, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts is the best way to show us your support. It helps more than you can imagine. Wicked. Okay, we're here with Cal. Would you, for the people who don't know, be able to give us just a brief overview of what you do?
Yeah, so me and my partner Beth run CB Social, which is a social media agency. We provide advertising solutions, for businesses online, primarily businesses in the e-commerce market, so selling things online. And we create ads that run across Facebook and Instagram and other platforms like TikTok and Snapchat and other cool things like that. But that's the most brief explanation I can give.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I reached out to you because I saw a few of your TikToks as well. How's been running the TikTok been for your business?
It was quite funny to be fair. We obviously had no idea that any of this was going to happen. Just posted it and just wanted to see how well it would do, and it blew up. But we ended up getting like loads of inquiries through the website. We actually went to another talk as well with young people who were getting like trying to push more people into digital and stuff. We got invited to do a talk last minute. That was pretty cool.
Oh, wicked.
And some of those inquiries came to fruition as well, and actually resulted in business for us. So yeah, definitely something I'm putting more effort into now.
Mm. Oh, brilliant. So you say you in the show notes you gave me at the start, you said you're a first time dad running your first business as well. So we'll get on to your business and being a dad as well. But for your business, what kind of made you want to start by yourself?
So I think, like many people, as cliche as it sounds, we've always wanted like our own business. But to get deeper into like the reason that made us do the jump is because we worked at an agency previously that was much larger, and it was like full scale e-commerce. So they did loads of different marketing channels. And social, when I joined, was like a team of like three people maybe. So it was really at its infancy. And after working there for 2 years, I thought, I could see the amount of money that the agency made, and I thought, well, we could definitely do this. I could do the work and instead get paid directly from the client, and it was almost like cutting out the middleman, which
Mm.
was the agency we work for. So once we spotted that opportunity, in my first week of paternity leave, that's when I decided to leave or hand my
Oh,
notice in
wow.
anyway. And from that stage, yeah, it was just like full steam ahead.
hmm So as well, since you're a dad as well, how has that kind of impacted how you ran your business and how you started your business?
It's been tough because obviously you've got to adjust to two completely new things, which is one, running your own business, which is one of the most difficult things we've ever done, as well as becoming a dad, and even for Beth becoming a mum as well, which is just it's really difficult to balance the two. We've relied quite heavily on family for support, whether it's like watching Archie, to give us time to work and just especially at the beginning, like financial support. Like before we started renting our home, we lived with Beth's parents for a while as well, which was obviously a massive help. So, we were really lucky to have that. But it's also driven us a lot more because there's a lot more on the line now that we have a little boy and we've got a lot, bills to pay and mouths to feed. So
Mm.
it's pushed us in the right direction. I don't think we would be where we are today without Archie, to be honest.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Um, as well, did you say this is is this the first year of CB Social? roughly?
So it was
Or
incorporated in April 2019, but we didn't actually start
okay.
like pushing the work until October because that's when I left the previous agency I was at. So we're about
Hmm.
a year and a bit in. In October this year, it'll be officially 2 years, but we've done two accounting years. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's we still say it's been about a year and a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously with the lockdown happening last year, and I don't know if you noticed, but on TikTok, roughly a few months into lockdown, when everyone was home, there was kind of a glamorization of starting your own business and just kind of either drop shipping or along those lines. So how glamorous is the actual process to starting the business?
Yeah, everyone's experiences are very different. You know, it requires a lot of time, doesn't it, and a lot of effort as well. And I think people, like even now, sometimes when we post videos and show how, because even this is really quick for us, this success, and I don't think we realize that ourselves. Sometimes we need to kind of take a step back, but especially when you're looking at selling things rather than a service, is probably even more difficult in some aspects. So I definitely wouldn't say it's glamorous. And I think, people creating that content kind of do have the responsibility to show all sides of it. You know, you see all those like cringy videos pop up on YouTube or adverts of like drop shipping and people making millions a
Yeah.
year. And like, some of these people aren't even, I bet they don't really make that money and you don't really know what is profit. And, they can throw all these numbers at
Yeah.
you. But yeah, it's definitely not glamorous. It is towards the end. You know, when you've built something, it's good, but obviously it requires a lot of hard work.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure everyone who's on the internet, YouTube, and everything will have those adverts that's
Yeah.
saying put this much in crypto and I'll give you 1,000,000% returns and stuff, and they don't show you all the process and everything like that. It's just a quick buck for them, and people get burnt quite
Yeah.
easily with that, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, so no, say you've been doing the business for about a year and a half. What would you wish you knew at the start that you know now?
I think it would be, I'm just trying to think of some scenarios that I've
Okay,
been
mate.
through. It'd be something related to sort of like dealing with people and looking at what they want from you to sort of use your time pretty wisely. Because I think there's a lot of people out there who
Mhm.
will try and take advantage of you, especially in the early days, whether it be the pricing of your product or service that you're selling or something. So I think it would be, you know, to help understand the way people are approaching you and maybe I think that's what it'd be. It'd just be a bit more sort of like knowledge of the market and how to
Mhm.
communicate with people properly.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of people management and just kind of more market research. Would you say you would have been able to get that experience without actually having going in and done the business like you have now?
Yeah, see, that's the way I've learned now, and it's been effective at learning because obviously we've had people have wasted our time before, whether it's just trying to get info out of us or work out of us and stuff. So I think a very effective way is to just get on with it and do it, and then you learn the way that these people approach you, and you sort of when you click and you realize, oh, hang on a minute, this isn't like mutually beneficial at all. And then yeah, that's the learning curve really in like moving forward now.
Hmm.
We're able to say yes and no to particular work that we want or don't want. So yeah, we're a little bit more stern with that now.
Brilliant. So your business is a would you say it's a social media marketing agency, or is there a different a term for that?
Yeah.
So say I run a business, why would I go to an agency rather than try and do the social media marketing myself?
Yeah, so there's one main factor with that, and it's basically people who own a business, or even if it's people like marketing managers or e-commerce managers, for example, don't necessarily have the time to put into that to either research how to do social properly, or they may have some paid experience themselves and they may do a little bit of social and launch some campaigns, for example, but it's just not as effective because it requires, like daily monitoring and optimizations throughout the month. And if they're running a company or they're running various marketing teams, they're not really going to have the time to brief everybody, get everything else sorted in the business, and then start creating social campaigns. So a lot of it comes down to time, and then the other part comes down to experience as well. And that people, with it
Hmm.
changing so often, you really have to keep up with the industry to stay on top.
Hmm. How do you kind of keep up with the ever changing industry of just marketing stuff? Like for example, excuse me, with algorithms and stuff of Facebook and Instagram's things and constantly changing, how do you kind of stay on top of that?
It's difficult. So there's a few things really. There's being connected with like groups or like on Facebook groups and stuff for like Facebook. I think there's one called like Facebook Ad Hacks, for example. There's things like that where people share their experiences by launching particular campaigns and audiences, and they'll tell you what results they got, and you can sort of use that info and apply it to your accounts. Even being connected with sort of relevant people in the industry on like LinkedIn and stuff as well who share content. And we also, as a marketing partner with Facebook, get some like specific materials from them, which kind of help us prepare for anything that's changing. Um, but yeah, like I said, it's still had its ups and downs, and it's still, we're still learning new things every month at least, whether that be from
Hmm.
Facebook or things that we take elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. So, being a social media marketing agency, you work with a lot of different brands and stuff, and people will approach you. Say, hypothetically, you had a unlimited budget right now. What would be one dream client that you could pick out right now that you would want to manage their marketing with no budget limitations? Who would you say?
Um, I would probably say, what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to get an agreement with either like a record label, for example, because what I always see
Mm,
is like adverts for like artists who are releasing music, and I've never ever thought of that market before. It's always been e-commerce, but and technically that might have an e-commerce
mm,
twist to it by either people like pre-saving the song in Spotify or pre-ordering on iTunes and stuff, or Apple Music, sorry, iTunes, jeez. And
mm.
yeah, it's just like stuff like that. I think is maybe an untapped market possibly, because I feel like maybe they just use like whatever the record label's marketing team is. But I'd love to do that for like various
Yes.
artists. I think that would be cool.
I felt like that'd be really interesting. Would that be something you'd be looking for in the
It's like
future then?
it's one of them thoughts that I've had like just in passing, like you're in the shower and you just think to yourself, God, I
Hmm.
wonder what they're doing. Like I wonder who they
Yeah.
use as like social, or if we've got any contacts we can get in there. But yeah, I've not thought of it yet, and I've not pursued it
Hmm.
yet. But I think it's definitely something we'll look to do. Yeah,
Mm. Would you have a particular artist in mind off the top of your
a
head you'd
lot
like to do a
a lot
record
of the
launch for,
artists
an
I'd like
album
to
launch?
work with some like American hip hop artists. I think. Um,
Hmm.
And I wouldn't mind working for like maybe some of the grime artists as well over in the UK, probably. They're like the main ones that I see, I think. So when I've looked at them and then looked at
Hmm.
the sort of ad content, and I just wonder what their strategy is. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see
Mm.
that.
That would be really interesting. That'd be yeah, I'm sure you could do a lot of stuff with that. There's a lot of potential in that market to do a lot
Yeah.
of things with that. Um, as well, I want you to talk to me about what is a typical day in your business and just in general, like being a dad as well. What does a typical day look like for
So
you?
from the get-go, waking up, that's like the dad section where you're just, getting
Hmm.
Archie sorted for his day. Sometimes he goes to nursery, sometimes he'll go to Beth's mum's. And it's got to be breakfast, get him ready and dressed and all sorted, get his bag packed. So on a morning, it's quite relaxed. You can check emails on your phone and stuff, but there's
Hmm.
not a lot of work that goes on. The current routine at the moment is a chunk of our morning when Archie goes from around 9 is going to the gym as well. So we're going about 4 or 5 times a week, which is good.
Oh,
So
nice.
we're back into like a decent routine. And then yeah, basically when
Hmm.
we return, it's just working up until about 4:30, 5 o'clock. But it's and then obviously when that time comes about 4 or 5 o'clock, we sort of clock off from then, and it's like back to focusing fully
Hmm.
on Archie. Some days as well, Beth will work like a half day just to be with Archie a little bit longer, and that's just totally out of like choice because we have the freedom to
Hmm.
be able to move work around and work in our own hours. So that's one of the blessings I think is that yeah, it gave us that
Hmm.
choice of time. But yeah, I mean, there's a good chunk of work which is good, and that at the beginning that was difficult to take hold of as a new parent. And then yeah, on an evenings it's quite nice because then we just switch off and we spend some time together as a family.
Mm.
But then it's that thing through the day of like going down at lunchtime, and if you want to make your lunch, like I get to see Archie then, and I think again we don't take that step back. And you might not, people might not understand this as a parent, but being able to just see your child in the afternoon randomly to just break away from work a bit is
Mm.
nice. Whereas if you think of someone working in an office wouldn't see them from 9 till 5 and that's it. And if
Yeah.
they're working overtime even longer. So yeah, the working days are good and it differs sometimes. But yeah, it's a good schedule we've got going right now.
Hmm. Have you always kind of had that work-life balance, that to the
That
point, or is
itself
that
has been a
something you've had
task
to
to develop
develop
over
over a certain
time.
amount of time?
Just again with the navigating the whole being a parent and stuff like, especially when we live with best parents. Like I would just work at the dining table with a laptop or in the conservatory. And when I'd finish
Hmm.
work, I'd close the laptop and then we'd have tea at that very same dining table. Or I'd walk in the kitchen and I can see my laptop. Whereas now we have like like a little home office, which is nice. Or exactly. So you can kind of shut the door and
Yeah, just all
and
separated
yeah,
out. Yeah.
really have a bit more balance between work and just relaxing.
Mm. Would you say because obviously with COVID, everyone more or less who could work from home was working from home, but now there's kind of a phased rollout of 50% working from home, 50% going to work. What's your kind of take on that? Are you all for working from
Yeah,
home,
to be
the other end,
honest,
or a mix of both? What would
I
you
quite
say
like a mix
you
of
prefer?
both. Like, I don't really mind. And I think for us, the way we're approaching it is we have like freelancers that are kind of working for us, but like almost working for themselves, if that makes sense. So for now, um, the
Hmm.
working from home thing, as long as they can
Yeah.
hit KPIs and so can we as well, like we feel comfortable to it. We've completely adjusted because again, we can go and work from coffee shops and stuff, but I do see us having some sort of office space where we can all meet up and collaborate at some point. I think it's just going to depend on size of the business as well. But yeah, I quite like a balance,
Hmm.
and totally up to people's like personal preference. I wouldn't really say it has to be like 50-50 like others are doing. I'd just say it's whatever people can hit the best performance with, go for it.
Oh, brilliant. One other question before we move on to the next topic. I'm personally interested in this. Say what's the process of if a brand comes to you, they've seen your website and they want you to handle their marketing. What's the kind of stages through them reaching out to you to then you putting out pieces of content for them?
Yeah, so they'll reach out to us and give us a brief, and they might already be working with an agency, or they may not have done any advertising before on social. Normally, what we do if they have been working with an agency is we'll put like an audit together to just make sure we can actually
Hmm.
add value with them working with us. They look over that, make sure they're happy with the pricing and whatnot. And if they agree, we go ahead and start taking over the account. We'll start planning how we're going to spend their monthly budget, start thinking of creatives and what sort of campaigns we're going to run. And that's the benefit as well, is that normally with all the brands that approach us, it's always pretty different. So there's something new every month to be worked on, which is good.
Hmm. Oh, brilliant. So, recently I saw on your Instagram as well as on TikTok, you just recently bought a plot of land and building a house on that.
Yeah, so
Um,
oh, go on.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, go on, mate.
Yeah,
No,
well, yeah,
to
it's a new build we bought. So we just got the mortgage offer yesterday. So I put up another TikTok last night that kind of went crazy. I think it's got over 100,000 views already
oh
since last
well,
night, which is pretty good. It's just why I
that's
love that
insane.
app. It's just so good. Um, but
It
yeah,
is.
we weren't really supposed to be moving out of this house until like March next year. Um, and we seen this one and just fell in love with it. And when we went to the show home, the woman was like, look, there is one available around like August time, and she knew that we probably weren't going to be able to get it, and so did we. But we thought, let's just have a crack at it and see what happens. And yeah, after about, I think we've been in the process for about 5 weeks or so, and yeah, we just got the mortgage offer
Hmm.
yesterday, so we're pretty happy now.
Oh,
That's
brilliant.
probably the most nerve-wracking part over now, and we should move in like late August, hopefully.
No, brilliant. So what was the process kind of like of um buying the house? So did so you obviously had to find the house, find the plot of land and stuff. Were you looking online for that, or is it a local thing that you go and
Yeah,
look
it was.
for, and then you go and send an offer
Yeah,
and
it was
stuff like that?
literally just a case of Beth looking on Rightmove. Like we'd always go on the property market to have a look anyway and see, because we'd always gauge like what sort of house we could afford and what type of house that would look like based on what we could lend from the bank. And then Beth found come across that one, and like I say, it was a new build, so it was like a CGI image. It wasn't actually the house, and it was actually on
Okay.
a an estate that we drove around before just to look around. So it was definitely something we really wanted. And then yeah, the process, I didn't really enjoy the process at all. It was just pretty stressful, and like you're really in the dark with a lot of things, and especially being self-employed, they will, scrutinize everything. Like they will need every single detail of where every penny's come
Mm,
from. And even then you're not necessarily guaranteed to get it because your situation is not necessarily as secure as someone in a full-time contracted job, for example. So yeah, it was
mm.
pretty stressful, I would say. But to get to where we are now, it was worth it, definitely.
Brilliant. Because obviously there's a lot of things in the news now about how high housing prices are and about how people who are quite young may struggle to get a house in the future and may just have to continue renting. Um, what advice from your personal experience, obviously going through all the process and everything, what advice would you give to younger people to actually kind of get their feet wet in the property market?
Mm, I would say I would say start small, and yeah, again, it depends on everyone's situation, but it's really important as well to save money. So if they need to sort of scale back their monthly outgoings and start living on a budget or downgrade the cars and stuff, because it's only now that I've realised like we don't have anything flashy. Like we've got a cash car and we share a car between me and Beth.
Hmm.
And it's like, and then we see other people our age that are driving like brand new Mercs or BMs, and even some people in like crazy cars like Range Rovers and stuff. And it's like,
Hmm.
if you weigh up like what people are doing, it's not like there's not a lot of financial literacy, I don't think.
No.
Like people are dressed in like designer from head to toe, when if they spend what they spend every month, or if they save that over 10 months, they'd probably have like a 5% deposit, and
Hmm.
they'd be able to put that into a Help to Buy and get, maybe like a two-bedroom property and then on the ladder. And that's like, that's one massive step. So yeah, I would say save money and scale back outgoings, and yeah, just start small. Just think of it as a small investment.
Hmm. Sure. So a lot of things on TikTok and as well as all other social media channels, there's a lot of push of hustle culture and kind of as well as the stock market and crypto as well. So you were saying about saving a lot of your income and stuff. Where did you kind of learn what things work? So like with the Help to Buy ISA, I don't know if you invest in stocks and stuff as well, or did you have any kind of like financial role models that you kind of learned from?
We didn't, yeah, so we didn't have, what we used to do is, or what we did was we would take money out of the business, and that was a personal choice for us to just continue saving. When we first started, we had like debt. Like Beth had an overdraft, and I used a Monzo card that had like a £750 overdraft limit that I just
Mm-hmm.
completely um went into all the time and just couldn't
Yeah.
get out of. And yeah, we just started saving money by scaling back, nights out or eating out places and things like that, and started saving. And that enabled us to sort of, when we started the business and it started making more money, we were then able to put all of that towards the actual deposit for the house as well. So we didn't have anything. We do have some money in like crypto. There's like a few things we're
Mm-hmm.
invested in like Coinbase, for example, but
Yeah.
we're talking like we've not put more than like £1,000 in there. And in terms of financial role models, again, it's pretty difficult because there's no one we've like particularly followed. I think it's just bits of information we've absorbed online,
Yeah,
whether that be people giving us other tips. And to be honest, it'd probably be best parents that have helped us a lot as well, because they're really good with their money. And whenever we've got
okay.
questions about anything, we know we can go to them and they'll give us like decent advice to sort of ground you. Like if it was for
Yeah.
me now, I would love to go and get like a brand new crazy car, but we kind of have to think of the years to come and like remortgaging
Yeah.
and just other elements. Like it's got to be they keep us grounded. So yeah, I'd say it was best parents.
No, brilliant. No, I feel like everyone kind of has that urge to go out and buy new shoes. Say they get a new job and they get loads of money come in. The first thought is, oh, I'd like a pair of shoes or I'd like a brand new car or something. And it's just about, I suppose, just kind of suppressing those urges until you can kind of save up enough money to buy the things that you want eventually, and even saving more as well, like you said. Um, so what we got left here? I'll talk to you about crypto as well. What was kind of your catalyst to say, "Oh, I'm going to actually put money into Coinbase"?
It was Beth's dad. So he's
Mm-hmm.
invested in. I think he's had money in Bitcoin for a while, for like a few years.
Okay.
And then he was suggesting like other cryptos to get involved with as well. And obviously, I've never done that before, and I never thought of putting the money there instead of like just sitting in a bank. So then we all kind of just decided to look at ones together and start following trends. So it started with like Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got some in Cardano as well, I think, or something, which is like a bit more of a green, what they might call like a green energy based
Yeah.
crypto, which, basically anything that Elon Musk tweets about is kind of on my
Yeah.
radar. But right now the market is taking a bit of a battering, I think.
It does.
So yeah, I think with that, an important thing for me was that something I learned from Beth's dad as well, is to basically just, if whatever money you put into that, make sure it's money you just basically train yourself to think it doesn't exist, because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to need to be in there in the long run. Like you're not going to invest it and in like a couple of weeks make like a few grand. It's going to be like, that might sit in that account for like 4 years until it blows up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's money that we don't need. And that's just
Yeah.
something we followed.
Yeah. And it's more of a long term play for you, is it?
Yeah, just like it's nice to watch it grow. It was going well and then it's dropped now. And obviously,
Yeah.
looking at it now, technically we're almost losing money at the moment. Um,
Yeah.
so it's good to know that that money in there was just,
2 seconds. Sorry. Yeah. Go on,
yeah,
mate. Keep
sorry,
going.
it's just money that obviously we
Okay,
didn't
the
need.
chicken. I recommend chicken rainbow soup from BBC Good Food.
Sorry, Alexa just started talking to me. I hate the one that happens. Sorry, mate, as you are.
Sorry, you started talking about recipes or something.
Yeah. Don't know why I was piping up there.
But yeah,
Okay, mate. Yeah, go on.
that's it really. Yeah, we've
So,
only got them two, and
yeah.
then we've not. I think I'll do more in future, but I think I need to learn more about it as well, which is probably an important thing. I don't really like to just follow what someone says. I think I need like a bit more like, I don't know. I want to understand it myself, really.
Yeah. We don't trust what everyone says unless it's Elon Musk.
Basically, yeah. Unless it's in an Elon Musk tweet, then yeah, it's not getting invested in yet.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy how much power one man has to move a whole investment scene as well. As well as I don't know if you do stocks as well, or you just mainly crypto.
Yeah, it's just crypto. I've not actually explored stocks. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, say a lot of people normally just start with stocks and then they kind of migrate to crypto. But I suppose it's better so you start with crypto and then possibly migrating to stocks. I say there's less volatility in stocks, but it's still
Hmm.
it's still pretty volatile.
Yeah, I think with stocks for me as
But
well is that it's even more of a case of um, thinking ahead and letting it sit there for a
hmm
lot of time, um, compared to like crypto, because of how volatile it is, that if it increases rapidly like Bitcoin did, for example, you can make a lot of money. So I thought for
hmm
now, before we went into like buying the house, it was nice to put a little chunk in. And then we'll just see where it went. But yeah, it could be something that we look at in future. Again, I need to understand more about it, I think, before getting into it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Okay, we've got a couple more questions, and we'll kind of wrap up with a an overall question at the end. But since you're very involved in marketing, what do you think your favourite marketing lesson you know now that you weren't actually taught in education or in school?
A marketing lesson. I'm just trying to think of what would class as a marketing lesson. We could
Or just
like something that maybe we've learned over. Yeah.
Yes.
It would be. See, it's weird because especially in school as well. I think outright there wasn't a lot of education around like marketing as such, even with particular things you would go into. And in college, that wasn't my focus either. I kind of like fell into it through experience in other jobs, but it'd definitely be experience managing like larger budgets and stuff, because when you know how to do that, you then know how to work with large scale companies. And obviously thinking of growth and your own turnover, that's where the money lies, is when you start working with bigger companies, bigger businesses.
Oh, brilliant. So let's say for so you learn your trade kind of through college and obviously starting businesses and stuff and working for other businesses. What is your personal opinion on if someone 18 or something wants to go to university to kind of at the end game do what you do now? What kind of advice would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say sorry, a lot of the stuff we know now is from experience of like working with clients as well. So everyone's going to be different. So if someone's in uni and they're about to do a course in like marketing and stuff, I would probably utilize what you're learning in uni to turn that into a service offering. So by the end of it, you might know how to do everything. But for now, the thing you might know how to do is, let's say, posting content. Like, this is pretty bog standard, but let's say it's posting content to Facebook and Instagram. You can sell that as a service to an estate agent, for example, and they might pay you, let's say, £250 a month to do one post per day. And if you think of the free time you have in uni, you could complete that work in a week, yet have 250 quid for the whole month, and use that towards anything that anyone wants to do in uni. You can blast it, you can save it. It's just that thing of almost building that client base before you even get out of uni, and building that actual on-hand experience. So yeah, I would say try and build a service offering as quick as you can, and try and sell it. Just get out there and offer it up.
So if a student wanted to do, so they're in university now and they wanted to do kind of what you're saying, say for example a social media agency posting for real estate agents, what kind of skills would they need to develop now, and what kind of steps would they need to take to kind of start from zero?
I would say you need to just make sure your copywriting is on point. Before you approach a particular business in a certain area, maybe do a little bit of research. Just look at what content they already post, or maybe look at the website to familiarize yourself with how you would process info that they have, and then share that with people on social. Maybe scratch up some knowledge on Canva, or maybe Photoshop. I know uni students get discounts for Adobe Suites and stuff. So, I would just bash YouTube for tutorials, whether that be Canva or Photoshop, and just, focus on what your service offering actually is. So it's like creating content with copy and imagery. And then, for them, when you approach that estate agent, that's like, they don't actually have to do any work. They're coming to you because you're going to handle everything, and hopefully get them more inquiries.
So we talked about a lot of stuff now, and we kind of do this with everyone who comes on. It doesn't have to be related to anything we talked about, but what advice would you give to either your younger self or just younger people as a whole today?
Touching back on financial literacy, I would say if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it. Because Just think like, for example, someone might 1 month blast like 500-600 quid on a pair of shoes, which is then going to leave them, in a dire situation for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
And then they're going on nights out and stuff. But then next month comes around, they'll spend another chunk of money, and they just keep building this useless wardrobe of clothing. So yeah, I would say if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, mate, for coming on. We've discussed some pretty important things today. I've learned a lot, and I'm very happy to have had you on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time. Yeah, it was good to come on. Thanks for the invite.